Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be mixing bass guitar. We're gonna be using this song right here and we're gonna do a complete walkthrough through the entire mixing process of bass guitar.
Awake and sleeper, come out of your grave. Each night I hear you calling.
Alright, let's get started. So I have my bass bus right here, and as you can see I have two different bass tracks, and you might be wondering why. The reason is, when it comes to rock music, especially really heavy music, I like to split my bass into two different ones. On the first one I take the DI just as they recorded, and I treat it just for the low end because I like to keep it quite consistent, almost like a sub bass. And then I use the high end, let's say actually from the mid lows up until the high end, just for the rhythm section. All right, let's get started with the DI. First, the one thing I always do is I take my EQ and cut everything above 150. We solo this, and this is how it sounds. Just a bunch of low end, nothing else. And then right away we have this one here, which is a saturation plugin by Slate, really good on bass and guitars. And then a custom LA2A by Slate as well. I like to use this one to compress quite a bit the low end. I want to go for between 10 and 15 dB. So let's see how it sounds with just this one. Might be unnoticeable first, but once you start adding up on every single instrument some saturation, it makes the whole mix. And then we have the compressor. As you can see, it makes it quite tight. It's always there. I don't want the bass to drop. The problem with the bass is, depending on which note the bass is playing, the low end is more or less noticeable. So I don't want that. I want the low end to be constantly there. All right, and then we have the other part of the bass, which is the low mids up until the high end. So to start with, I'm going to be using a dynamic EQ for this one. I'll explain why in a minute. So I do the opposite. I got everything under 150 because I don't want to mix the frequencies and how I treat them, right? In this case, I decided to cut a bit of 534 in this case because it was quite boxy, the playing. And this is the reason why I chose to use a dynamic EQ. Sometimes the playing was too intense, too sharp on the actual pick. So I had to tame that a little bit. So this is how it sounds just with the EQ so far. So this is great to tame the clank, 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 clank from the pick. All right, right away we have some Darkglass by Neural DSP. Not much bass or low mids because we're doing that with the DI. Almost half drive, and this bass was quite clingy, so boosting too much the mids and the treble will be like too much. So I decided not to boost so much. It's quite sharp anyway, brand new strings. So this is how it sounds. Still adding some bass, to be honest, but it's fine. We don't mind. We like it. And then right away we have again some saturation. Then we have some compression, kind of slow attack and kind of fast release ish, 4:1 ratio. We're only aiming for 1, maybe 2 gain reduction. It's not much, just to keep it a bit more consistent, to be honest. And then we have the EQ, which in this case I'm not doing any move, but I'm using the SSL style EQ all over the tracks, so I'm adding it just for the color as well. Then all we need to do is just blend the volume of the two of them. And then we have the last step that I always do on the bass bus. Doesn't matter the style, I always do it, which is a multiband compression. In this case, I added multiband on the top end to tame those clank clanks from the pick, just a tiny bit, not too much. And then there's the classic move to glue the kick and the bass, because one of the most important things is making sure the kick comes through the bass and they blend together well. There's many ways to do that. My favorite one is using a multiband compressor. So what I did was I went to my kick, figured out which was the fundamental frequency. In this case it was 50, around 50. So I came here, I said, okay, side chain it to the kick sample, or whatever the name is. In this case, it's kick sample. And so every time the kick is hitting, this is gonna duck around 50. So I'm gonna show you with the entire drums how this sounds. So as you can hear, there's room now for the kick to come through and the bass is not overlapping it. All right, so as you can see, it's not really hard. There's not much to do. It's just basically splitting the signals between 150 below and 150 above and getting the low end super tight and super compressed. So it's always present. It's not fading out or all of a sudden coming in really hard. And then just compressing and treating the high end, let's say, enough so it still feels like bouncy and natural and dynamic enough. All right, everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me a comment if you have any questions or suggestions for any upcoming video. Thank you very much. See you next time.